Welcome, friends. I've been asked by several people, several of my subscribers and friends, to chime in on the situation where the Marine Corps snipers were photographed urinating on dead enemy combatants. People want to know how I feel about that, and I'm going to tell you how I feel about that, and I'm going to tell you how I came to these conclusions. First and foremost, let me say right out of the gate, hoorah, and God bless you, Marine Corps snipers. You do a hell of a job. And God bless all the men and women of the United States Armed Services. You all do an outstanding job. You've all been called upon by your country to do a job, and you're doing it well. Okay. So, how do I feel about situations like the Marine Corps snipers urinating on the dead enemy combatants? I feel the same way about it as I feel about the Army personnel that was in charge of Abu Ghraib. You know, I don't think it's a failure on our warriors' part, you know, the guys and gals in the trenches. I think it's a failure on the commander-in-chief's part. Under Abu Ghraib, it was clearly George Bush's failure, and in a situation now with the Marines urinating on the dead enemy combatants, it is clearly the commander-in-chief, Barack Obama's failure. Now, how do I come to that conclusion? Well, here's the thing. We take young people. You know, when I was a teenager, I think 2 weeks out of high school, I showed up at MCRD in San Diego, put my feet on the yellow footprints, and away I went. And you take very young people, teenagers, and, you know, most of us realize teenagers are teenagers. We take them and we mold them, and depending on their MOS, we may mold them into killers, you know. We call them warriors, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, they're trained killers. And they are trained killers for their country, you know. And these Marine Corps snipers, you can definitely say that MOS falls into the category of trained killer. So we take a young person, we train them to be killers. Now, it's not a normal state of mind, or not a normal frame of mind, or however you want to put it, to put the crosshairs of a rifle scope onto the head of another human being, and within a matter of a fraction of a second, end that person's life, literally blowing a hole into that person to the point where they're no longer capable of sustaining life. No, we expect that from our snipers. We expect them to kill. And we expect them to kill for us. That's what we do. So you train somebody to be a killer, you amp them up into the war situation, because let's be honest, you know, you're in a situation where your job is to kill people. It's a very unique state of controlled madness. You know, literally, controlled madness. And we expect people to be able to turn that on and turn that off. Okay? Well, I submit to you that that's impossible to do. And throughout the history of war, whether it was the Indians War, Civil War, any of the wars, Vietnam, they used to take and cut off ears from enemy soldiers and make necklaces out of them. Now, not every soldier did this, but there were enough of them. The American Indians, the Native Americans, they used to scalp U.S. cavalrymen, soldiers, when they would kill them. Of course, there are people who argue that they learned that from the white man, but irregardless, it doesn't really matter. When you're in that state of mind, when you're in that feeding frenzy of death, you know, it's very difficult to turn that off. I think that it's very hypocritical for the president or the Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who had a little bit to say about it. It's very hypocritical for them to say, we want you to blow people's heads off, but that's it. We can't have you urinating on them or doing anything like that. No, that'd be unacceptable. Okay? So we're going to take young people, we're going to train them to be killers, and then when they get a little out of what we consider line, then we're going to punish the hell out of them. I think that's insane. You know, and part of my problem with war today is that we expect to fight wars and use a standard of behavior that's impossible. I don't care what anybody says. It's impossible. You're either going to be amped up to kick some ass and kill some people, or you're not. You know, you can't blow the head off of somebody 1 minute and then show, you know, dignity and respect for them the next. I just don't think that those two mindsets go hand in hand with one another. I just don't. Now, how do I, why do I say that this all lands on the desk of the president? Well, I've said from the earliest days of this war that the United States fighting personnel have no business having recording devices at all. Now, I, as most of you know, have friends that are in the military who actually have YouTube videos up of their experiences in Iraq. And you know what? And they're great. It's great to watch that stuff. But the truth of the matter is that you cannot film the ugliness of war, because war is ugly. I mean, war is ugly. The things that people do in war, during war, are ugly things. And if you record those ugly things, now some people may say, well, they should be recorded because then maybe that'll keep us, prevent us from going to war. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Human beings are inherently flawed, and we will always go to war. Okay, so I believe that is a failure on the Commander-in-Chief, because the Commander-in-Chief should have made sure, and it would have been well within their rights to do so, should have prohibited all recording devices from being in theater, in country. It should have banned those. There's no reason that a PFC or anybody, any enlisted man, or hell, for officer for that matter, should have a recording device that would make it possible for them to pass that on. For a lot of reasons. But one of them is this reason exactly, because you're going to end up filming things that are ugly, things that will make the country look bad. I mean, bottom line, had there not been a recording device, nobody would have ever known that those Marine Corps snipers urinated on those dead enemy combatants. And am I defending their urinating on them? Yes, I am. It's a war. War's hell. You have to have somebody raging. You have to have them literally hate the enemy in order to, I should say indiscriminately, but in order to kill the enemy. You can't have somebody amped up enough to end somebody else's life, but then say, now, hey, don't cross the line and do anything like urinate on them. That we can't accept. As far as I'm concerned, if you're going to expect people to be in that state of mind, you're going to get what you get. And if that means people have necklaces made out of ears, or if that means people have collected scalps, then that's what you get. That is war. War has always been hell. War has always been ugly. And I don't believe that we're ever going to be able to fight a reasonable war anymore and win, literally win, unless we change our attitudes about it. Now the liberals will have you think, well, you shouldn't be fighting wars anyway. But the truth of the matter is, whether they like it or not, it's part of this world, and it always will be part of this world. I don't care what anybody says. So I don't know. I see the United States being hamstrung by ridiculous rules of engagement, rules of theater. It's just ridiculous to expect our fighting men and women to be held to that kind of standard. I don't begrudge what the enemy does to our soldiers when they kill them, because that's what they're going to do. I just don't think that we should tell our soldiers, Marines, airmen, whatever, to fight by a different standard. I just don't believe that you can take an individual, train them to kill other people, and then expect them to be able to turn it off immediately. Just boom, turn it off. Okay, no urinating on the corpses of the people you just killed. It's okay to blow their head off, but it's not okay to piss on them once you do that. To me, that just makes absolutely no sense. So, in the end, bottom line, and I know this won't happen, I know these Marines are going to be made scapegoats, but in the end, literally, I think that these Marines were not in the wrong. I think that the person that was in the wrong was Barack Obama, President, Commander-in-Chief Barack Obama. That's my opinion on that. I really, let me know in the comment section. Do you think I'm right on this? Do you think I'm spot on? Do you think I'm wrong? Let me know. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Everybody take care.